What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for tuning in. It's me, Mikey Pipes. About to take you on a service call with Carlos, our new service plumbing technician. He's not too comfortable with heating, so this makes a great video. To those of you who are a little also uncomfortable when it comes to heating, especially a US boiler Burnham SteamMax, we're gonna do a full tune-up followed by a combustion analysis with a Testo 320. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, Carlos, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling someone's watching me, by the way.
That guy?
Like a helicopter. Is there a helicopter here? Behind the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Peekaboo. There he is. Oh, he's hiding. All right, Carlos. This is your first steam boiler maintenance service call.
All right.
We installed this, this US boiler Burnham SteamMax about
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3+ years ago. And we converted this homeowner from oil to gas. We ran some gas piping, and we gave them a nice steam boiler. And I think their fuel bills have been drastically different. Ain't that right?
Absolutely.
So do you remember what you used to pay a year in oil?
Oh my God.
If you could put a number on it, was it $4,000 a year, less or more?
It probably averaged around 2,000 to 3,000.
Okay, so let's say 2,500. And I know you had gas before, for your water heater and for your dryer and stove, right? So I'm sure your gas bill went from like $30 to probably like $100, probably, right? But it's like $100 a month, probably. 150 in the heating season.
In the heating season, 150. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say.
So would you say you're saving around 30%?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. See.
Big saver.
Big savings. All right. So we have this.
That's messy too.
We have the steam boiler here, and everything's fairly clean. So this is going to be a pretty straightforward service call. But I want to go over the piping configuration and the components, so you're comfortable with that. And then we're going to duplicate what we normally do when we have this kind of boiler on a maintenance service call. So obviously the box itself is the boiler itself, right? And there's a sticker right here. This is a SteamMax 100, and it's manufactured of December 2021. So installed 3 months later. Not too shabby, huh? So coming out of the top of the boiler is our steam piping. And this upside down trap that's similar to like what you see under a sink or a tub, for example, a shower. This is called a drop header. So the steam, which the boiler creates, the water is violently boiling, right? And that water gets its way up here. So the higher I make this and then have the steam leave, the better. But if I go back down, any water that made its way up here is going to drip back down, and because it's slowly pitched back to here, it's going to drip back to the boiler, and anything leaving, like these two pipes leaving, would be basically just steam itself. Water is not going to come down and then go back up again. It's not, unless there's really a crazy amount of pressure, but as we have a Pressuretrol for to regulate pressure. So this is called a drop header. You don't really see that on a lot of steam boilers, but if you read RTFM, read the factory manual, you'll see this is an optional and preferred way of doing it. Up and then back down. So this is the first steam main. This is the second steam main. And then this piping configuration here is called the equalizer, because the steam pressure leaving is going to be the same as it going back to the boiler. Okay. And it should be the same pipe diameter as the header itself, or one pipe smaller. So this is a 2-inch pipe. This should not be smaller than 1.5 inches. But if you can keep it to 2 inches, it's even better.
What's the other pipe right there? Or like this one?
This right here? This is a return.
Okay, return.
Okay, we'll get to that though. And there's another one there. And these are dry returns.
Okay.
This piping arrangement here, that's actually a T right here, and there's an elbow, and it goes down and it picks up that return and that return. That's called a Hartford loop T. I'm going to give you a book called We've Got Steam Heat. It's written by Dan Holohan. It's 125 pages. It's $25 on Amazon. It's a great book, but I'm going to make it required reading for you, because you're going to learn a plethora of information from it.
All right.
This is our cold water feed, marked boiler water supply on this valve tech. And if the customer needs to add water, you open up this valve and the water level in the sight glass increases. Right?
You want to keep that in the middle, right?
I want to keep it around the middle, correct. This is a Pressuretrol. It regulates pressure. This loopy light pipe underneath is called a pigtail. We have a pressure gauge, and that's called a low water cutoff. So if there's no water, that will turn off the boiler. That's an automatic vent damper, strictly for efficiency. And there may be a rollout switch here, which there is not on this because this is a different type of combustion chamber.
Okay.
But inside our, and by the way, it's our 15 PSI relief valve. It is company policy. Anytime we work on an appliance that has a safety pressure valve, you want to make sure that it's the right one.
15.
Every single job. If you're working on a water heater like that, you're going to make sure that that T&P valve, which has that corrosion on it because it's not a drip leg and it's probably slowly lifting, you want to make sure that's 150, 210, which is what it's rated for. Steam boiler has a 15 PSI relief valve, and hydronic boilers have a 30 PSI relief valve. This is called a transformer, line voltage 110, 224 volts leaving. This is called the thermostat relay. This is called the ignition control, intermittent pilot ignition control, and then we have our intermittent pilot gas valve.
Okay.
Okay? And that would be a skim port. And a power switch. Let me see. It actually says skim tap opening right there.
And why is that cap? Just
Because it is not used. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. We're going to open up this drain valve. And we're going to drain water out of this boiler. We're going to watch the water level of the sight glass decrease. And once that gets low enough, and as long as there's power here, that light is going to come on the low water cutoff.
the green one?
Oh, the green and the yellow. The yellow light, actually. But our probe is right there, which is closer to the bottom of that sight glass. Now, you're going to notice that the water is usually dirty. Now, one of the things you could stress to the homeowner is that you ask them, there's the yellow light. So we know the low water cutoff works.
Okay.
So we're going to close this valve.
And then sheet it.
And then we know that the low water cutoff is functional,
Right.
because it's sensed insufficient water, and that is on.
Okay.
You could take it a step further and have a call for heat, which I'll show you how to do, and make sure the boiler does not run. And then add water, and if that light goes out and the boiler kicks on, then we're good. So on a lot of the steam boilers that we install, I wouldn't say a lot of them, all of them that we install, I like to put a thermostat connection accessible, whether it's at the ceiling or it's inside the boiler vestibule. But these two wires here, if I was to read this, this says thermostat.
Yeah.
Look at that. So since that says thermostat, if I were to take out the two wires leaving the boiler, it's safe to say this is going to the thermostat, right?
What was that? Right here?
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
So if I were to take off those two wires and connect the two thermostat wires together,
You jumping.
that's click was the thermostat relay turning on. Okay? And nothing else should be happening right now. The vent damper is not going to open. Nothing's really going to happen until that safety is satisfied. So now you're going to slowly add water. And we're going to let that sit at the halfway point. You could go faster too, it doesn't matter. You could fully open. I just don't like to quickly open a valve. Okay, so the yellow light went out. I'll go halfway full. And then we will see what happens. So the damper there, if you look behind this little black box, you're going to see like a little lever. Right now the lever is this way. Yep. When it opens this way, or it starts to turn, right now it's got that click. The damper is going from there and it's slowly opening. Right, and once that damper opens, the end switch or the safety switch inside of it is going to close, and the rest of the burner circuit is going to be happy as long as the Pressuretrol is okay. You'll hear tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
There's a tick, 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 tick. And then we're going to have ignition as long as the fuel supply is on.
Should be, yeah.
Still ticking. And there we go. Main valve opens. And we have ignition. Beautiful. This is called the Pressuretrol. See? Pressuretrol. And they have settings on here. We have a differential and we have a pressure. Now, out of the box, and the US boiler Burnham suggests not modifying it, but out of the box is where they want this to stay, which is usually around 2 psi and the differential of 0.5. and the differential is subtractive. So what that means is that right now if it's set for 2 minus 0.5, it should turn back on when the pressure is 1.5 or under. It'll turn off at 2.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding. Now, ideally, you want this at a 1/2 pound of pressure because you don't need more pressure to create steam to heat a low pressure steam system. So ideally, where this is now is perfect, but if you can bring that even lower, and you can do that with like a vapor stat, for example, which measures not in PSI or pounds, but in ounces of pressure. So it's much more finer, but when you're using a vapor stat, you need to make sure everything is perfect. The air valves, the main steam vents, like on the ends of these mains, need to be in place, need to be fully functional. Every radiator needs to be dialed in perfectly. Otherwise, because it's so sensitive, we're not dealing with that 0.5 PSI anymore. Now we're dealing with like 8 ounces of pressure or 6 ounces of pressure. And if everything's not perfect, the boiler won't run because or nothing will heat up evenly. All right, we're going to first make sure that the wiring to our Pressuretrol is good. The boiler's still running, right? We're going to remove this connection, and the boiler turned off, right? To avoid shocking anything, let's turn that switch off right there. Perfect. Because I don't want to like short anything against that and burn out the transformer. Now we're going to remove the other wire, and we're going to take this connection out. We're going to spin off the Pressuretrol, spin out the pigtail, and then we're going to make sure the pigtail is clean by blowing air through it. Word of advice, on some boilers, the Pressuretrol is directly above the low water cutoff. All right? So like if you were to take this off and this pigtail was clogged and there's water in there, the water's going to drop on top of the low water cutoff, and your luck, it'll short out the low water cutoff. And you'll be replacing a $400 control for free. Right, so put a rag on top of it. Like, just keep that in mind. Anything, because it could be water here, and also carefully take that off and wear gloves, because if the boiler is hot and this is clogged or there's pressure here, I burnt myself severely because I wasn't careful. Open the relief valve right there and leave it open. Okay, it should stay open, right? And blow through this pigtail. Does it stay open?
No, it doesn't want to.
There you go. No? Huh. Oh, that's stubborn.
Maybe if I
hold that. Yep. I'm going to blow through it. Good, right? Close that. And now we could just clean off the rest of this Teflon tape, and then go re-Teflon tape this. And then we know that the pigtail is clear.
Usually there's dirt here, right?
Yeah, that's why I blew through it.
Okay.
And it's brass, so it's very unlikely. It's very less likely to clog. If it was black, it more than likely it would be clogged. But we'll wrap some Teflon tape around there, put the Pressuretrol back in, and rewire. So the wire's back next. And now I know you didn't do it, but a good technician is observant of their surroundings. You want to make sure that you put the wires back where they belong. I used the bottom and the top terminals, which are also loose probably. So one wire goes one goes, it doesn't matter where they go. It doesn't make a difference. So one at the bottom, one on top. And then use your screwdriver, tighten that up. And then we will fire this bad boy back up and do a combustion test. Now, sometimes, and in most cases, I happen to know the owner. He's very neurotic. He probably drains his boiler all the time. That's why the water level in the cyclist is so clean. But if the water is abnormally dirty, we will add a treatment. And we normally use a product called Surgex. Comes in a small little white bottle like this. And a good time to put that in is when we take this out. And then we would remove this brass bushing, or whatever's there, and pour that into the 3/4 opening, or take the relief valve out and pour it in there, and then pour a little bit in there with some water, a little bit more water, because you need to get it inside, and the water will turn like a radioactive lime green. And what Surgex does is it gives you more drier steam, which is what you want on a steam system. You don't want wet steam. You want dry steam. If you had wet steam, you're going to degrade more rapidly the wear and tear of all the piping, which is all steel, and the cast iron radiators, which is all steel, basically, right? And it'll slowly, wear away, and sludge and crap and just cocky ends up back at the boiler, and that's why you have very dirty water, and then that. Now, speaking of dirty water, I started mentioning before. Homeowners need to do their own due diligence and their own maintenance on a steam boiler once a month during the heating season. For one primary reason, to make sure the low water cutoff functions when there's insufficient water.
Right.
If there isn't a functional low water cutoff on a steam system, what will happen, and it will happen eventually, right, is that the boiler will run with not enough water in it. That water will go away. No, not right away. The neoprene seals or gaskets in between each section will melt. And then the homeowner will come home and have this horrible smell in their house that smells like a burning tire factory. It's horrible, right? And then if you add water to it, the boiler will crack. And, you know, it'll be a very loud noise, like an explosion, because that super hot cast iron gets hit with cold water and it'll shatter. And then water will be on the floor. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, whatever. But yeah, that will be a new boiler. Okay. There's no other way around it. So the number one reason is to make sure the low water cutoff is functional. And when you read this book called We've Got Steam Heat, you will remember this and you will explain this to your homeowners that you service. Okay. But the more meaningful to the pocket is this. Here's a pop quiz. What temperature does water boil at? I don't expect you to get the answer. You can answer, but you could say this exactly how to a homeowner. I'm just pretending you're the homeowner. Yeah. Like Mr. John Doe. Like, let me ask you a quick question. Pop quiz. What temperature does water boil at? And you'll catch him, and everyone usually knows the answer. Yes, 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius is the answer, that, yeah. Right? Do you think this filthy water filled with cocky boils at 212 degrees?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? I think it takes more money, which means more fuel, more gas.
So there's material in it.
Yeah. So it's going to take more fuel, which means more money to burn, right? That means it's cost you more money. So it's to your benefit, Mr. John Doe homeowner, to do this once a month during the heating season to keep that water as clean as possible. Now, I'm not saying be a neurotic lunatic, but if you want to, you can. That's between you and your lunatic self, right? Get them to laugh, right? Because people are comfortable doing business with people they're comfortable with. So as long as you can befriend them from that initial confrontation, or not confrontation, the initial first impression to the end of the service call, you're good. And guess what? The next time they call, they'll ask for you. Because you gave them a tip, like, oh man, he really cares. And you may even get a gratuity as far as a tip. Right. Teep. I had a guy named, what the fuck's his name? Kelvin. Kelvin used to go like, teep. He's also El Salvadorian, by the way. Crazy. Done. Because there's a power cycle, the low water cutoff will do a self cycle there. The damper will probably open and close and open, or power cycle that as well. And as long as there's still a call for heat, because those wires are jumped out, the boiler will stay running.
What's that claw sound that I hear? That's
the damper, the door scratching against the inside of the steel, because there's little flaps inside of it, so it's opening. And once that opens, which it is now, you hear tick 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 tick. You'll have a pilot flame proving, and then main valve opening and main ignition.
And natural gas. See how it burns?
No. What? No. This tests what's inside and the temperature of the flue gases. Okay. So this is a Testo 320. You have one in your truck. It's a combustion analyzer. So anytime we work on a fuel burning appliance, whether it's installing a water heater, which you can test, I'll show you how to do that, or a boiler for a service call, we're going to test the exhaust gases and do a draft test. So right now we turned it on, and we want to make sure we turn it on outside so it zeroes out with fresh air. It's going to come to the screen for flue gas analysis. We'll hit OK. Natural gas, OK again. And it'll bring us there, and then you'll see it's not running because that little green little arrow for play is not lit, and it's not running yet. So what we're going to do is this probe. Every boiler is different. But you'll run across like steam boilers that have like a box, the diverter behind of it, or a boiler with the donut on top of it, like the bell, which is the diverter, and you want to take the gas before it gets diluted with diverted air. So like this is a diverter, right? I don't want to test here because it's diverted, it's mixed with the air that's here. I want this to go inside down there. I would drill a hole here and shove that in there. Here I'm going to go underneath that box and then go up in there like this. So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna show you. I'll take a video for you. You don't have to, but I'm gonna push start and I'm gonna push this in there, and in some cases I get to hold it there, but this one, not so lucky. Let's see if I could use this hole. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Now, I'm going to get my camera. I'm going to take a picture of this. Parts or particles per million. So if you look here, let me turn the light on. So there's that probe, and it's there. It's inside the top of the boiler. See? This is the diverter. This is the exhaust gases, flue gases going into the chimney. So if I measure here, I'd measure here for draft, not measure combustion here by drilling a hole. Combustion there on top of the boiler before it gets diverted with the air there. So let me take this. So the first number, T stack, that's the temperature of the stack or the flue gases leaving the boiler. I'll give you a printout of what these would normally be on whether it's a hydronic boiler, atmospheric venting, or a steam boiler. A steam boiler will be higher because you're not at 180 degrees of water that you're making. You're at 212. You're producing steam, and there's a lot more energy between a liquid state of water and a steam state of water. A lot more energy is required, so it'll be significantly higher the stack temperature on a steam boiler versus a traditional hydronic boiler. Our O2, which is oxygen, should be around there, and I'll give you a listing of that. This ppm of CO, that's parts per million of carbon monoxide. So we like to see under 50. Right now you're at 63, 64. There's ways to lower this. The burners could be dirty, or the gas valve may need an adjustment. Right now, but we're running at 84.5% efficient. Not too shabby, huh? If we arrow down a little bit, you're going to see CO2 at 8.41%, which is pretty good. But most importantly, oxygen, which should be around, and I'll give you a printout, around 6 to 7%. This should be under 50, and the efficiency on the yellow sticker of this boiler probably says it's 83, 84%. I don't know what that cover is. There's the cover. The cover says, I don't know, it's gone, but maybe the other side of the boiler is a yellow Energy Star sticker.
What does the GR stand for?
Not relevant.
Okay, no. Forget about just efficiency, that's it.
Yep. O2, CO2, O2, CO, and stack temperature.
Okay.
So right now we're at 340 degrees. We're still rising in temperature. And at the end of the day, this will probably be around 375.
So now the efficiency, if it was a new boiler, it would be like 95, 97?
No.
Doesn't work that way?
No, not with steam and not with most boilers. A high efficiency boiler, one that's like at 90+% efficient, that uses PVC pipe to vent, that would be 90+% efficient. But because of the temperature, the stack temperature, you lose efficiency.
Okay.
We're going to clipboard these numbers. We're going to take this probe out. We're going to hit escape, and then we're going to do a draft measurement. So we're going to hit OK there, and I'm going to hit OK when it says ready. It's going to zero out for 11 seconds, and then we're going to shove this up here. It's going to go straight up. I don't need to drill a hole because it's going to be diverted with the air.
You're not going to burn yourself?
Nope. There you go, right there. Beautiful. My hand is up there, kind of, and we're looking for negative pressure. So this temperature will be back to the temperature that it was before, so around 350 degrees, maybe a little bit less, but we want to make sure we have negative pressure.
Yeah, because it's getting sucked
yes, correct. And once we have that, we'll hit clipboard, and we'll save those results for print. There it goes. Now we're printing the test results, so we're documenting and validating that on today's date, at this time, this is what the boiler was like. Pretty simple. So there's the shipping label box baggie that we use, and here's today's date. We'll take a picture of this and attach it to the invoice. Now, before we leave, let's put it back the way it was. Now, she said she had the thermostat raised up, right? She did, right? We're gonna soon see.
Blue with yellow and blue with yellow. That's it.
Well, no. So these two, right, it could be different colors, not necessarily yellow, but these two blues go to the thermostat.
And the yellow one is the oil, right?
Yeah, because that's marked thermostat. Right there. How did I do, ladies and gentlemen? Let me get your thoughts and feedback in the comments section down below. And if you live in the Long Island, New York area, and you're tired of getting bamboozled by your HVAC contractor, pick up the phone, give me a call, 516-348-6300. And don't worry, We're dog friendly. Why do they always sniff each other's tongues? I have no idea. They're dog